बैकग्राउंड एंड ओपन द लिंक. आई होप यू नो हाउ टू डू दैट. उसको ओपन कर लीजिए और वहां से मैं आपसे ये डिस्कशन आई विल कंटिन्यू दैट. ठीक है. द पोएम इज कॉल्ड आफ्टर डेथ by Christina Rossetti. After Death is a patriarchal sonnet. Like I told you, all three poems that we are going to discuss are patriarchal sonnets, and Christina Rossetti is a Victorian poet. Now, this particular poem focuses on the themes of tragic love and death. ठीक है. इसके की पोएम इंफॉर्मेशन की जो की पॉइंट्स हैं जो आप देख सकते हैं ग्रीन बॉक्स में आपके पास होंगे. Central message is that sometimes it takes death to reveal the true feelings that were hidden in life. The speaker of the poem is a deceased woman, a person, a female who has died, and themes are death, love, relationship, and spirituality. Now, you'll see many similarities between Once I'm Dead, My Dearest, and this poem as well. Many things are very much interconnected. The emotions that are evoked are contentment, regret, and sadness, and it's written in 19th century. Now, this analysis is written by Rebecca, who's a BA in English Language and Literature, Fine Arts and History. Now, After Death was written by Rossetti in 1862, and it touches upon the themes of life, death, love, and afterlife. Within the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, an artistic society which Rossetti was not allowed to enter, many poems addressing similar themes were produced. And that was one of the reasons that people thought that she was connected to this brotherhood, but she was not. It was actually her brother who was connected to it. However, After Death offers a much different perspective on the themes, that it was written by वुमन. देखिए, ब्रदरहुड ने जिस भी पर्सपेक्टिव पे लिखा उसमें लाइफ डेथ आफ्टर लाइफ के बारे में बात हो रहा था, लेकिन द वे this woman writer, this female writer is going to incorporate those things is a little different.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Could you please confirm in the chat box that I am sound glitch is there? Acha, let me try something. What about now? Is it clearer now?
ठीक है मैम.
Now it's clear. Okay, okay. चले, मैं इसको बिल्कुल मुंह के पास ही कर लेती हूँ, फिर और तो कोई तरीका नहीं है. चले. Okay, going back to what we were discussing, that at that time women lacked basic rights and sense of patriarchal traditional system. Victorian society had not yet seen the emergence of women into the mix. Women were not highlighted. New women was this feminist ideal trope that was very much there in 19th-20th century. ये अभी तक आया नहीं था जब Rossetti was writing. But her poetry is a boundary breaking poetry, and her opinions on the marriage, prostitution, and illicit relationships is very much important from that perspective. Now, the poem that you can see has 14 lines, and it has a rhyming scheme of A B B A A B B. आप इस वेबसाइट पे देखें तो एक जगह पे लिखा होता है राइम स्कीम और लाइंस, उसको इनेबल करें तो वो आपको इसका एनालिसिस करके भी बता देता है. Now going to the summary, now let's go to the line wise analysis directly. नीचे जाएंगे थोड़ा सा तो detailed analysis line 1 to 2. So I'm going to read first two lines and then we are going to read the possible interpretation. The curtains were half drawn, the floor was swept and strewn with rushes, rosemary and may. Now the nouns. अब ये जो analysis है ये थोड़ा सा different होगा उस analysis से which we have been discussing for so long in the classes. They have been highly thematic, but here you'll see that the stylistic analysis is as important as the thematic one. In order to aid our thematic landscape कि उसको हम बेहतर बना सकें और इम्पोर्टेंट और बहुत स्ट्रेंथन बना सकें, तो हमें ये करना है. इसके अलावा कीप इन माइंड कि हमें सिफ्ट मेथडोलॉजी को याद रखना है. whenever we are talking about Christina Rossetti, we must keep in mind the SIFT methodology, which is symbolism, imagery, figures of speech, tone and theme. मैं आपको इससे रिलेटेड एक इंफोग्राफिक भेजूंगी जो आपको आपको पता है. बाय द वे, यू हैव बीन स्टडिंग पोएट्री इन द सेम मैनर. You are just going to get terminology to be that is associated with this technique. Now, the nouns curtains and floor have been used in the lines, such as, the curtains were half drawn, the floor was swept, and the strewn with rushes, rosemary and may. अब curtain and floor बड़े domesticated किस्म के words हैं. Connotatively, these words are associated with women because the Victorian women were supposed to take care of the house, and floor and curtains they come in the house. So it alludes to the normality of uh, um, um, a Victorian house or Victorian era. They also act as a spatial dixies to set the scene of after death in a form of a Victorian deathbed environment. So curtain and floor. देखिए पोएम का नाम है आफ्टर डेथ और पहली लाइन है द कर्टन वर हाफ ड्रॉन द फ्लोर वर स्वेप्ट and strewn with rushes, rosemary and may. So we get an idea that there is a dead body. अगर आपको My Last Touches वाला भी याद हो तो उसमें भी कर्टन का एक रेफरेंस है जो कि वो अथॉरिटी को रिप्रेजेंट करता है. यहाँ पर ऑन द अदर हैंड the curtain represents the modesty and the secrecy that they want to attach to a woman, that even her dead body has to be curtailed, it has to be protected at all costs और उसको छुपा कर रखना है. सो डेथ पेट एनवायरनमेंट हमारे पास यहाँ एस्टेब्लिश हो जाता है. ऑल्सो द fact that the curtains are half drawn off as a sign of respect, yet the adjective half suggests an undead state. अब इसको देखने के दो तरीके हैं. One is that half drawn curtain simply means that the curtain is not completely there and it is for respect. The other could mean that the woman that who is speaking in the poem, the poetic persona, is half dead or she can see what's happening upon her डेथ बेड पे जो लोग होते हैं यूजली कहा जाता है कि वो ऑलरेडी दे कैन सी व्हाट्स हैपनिंग एंड दे आर जस्ट डाइंग ऑफ एंड समटाइम्स और मेडिकली भी आपने सुना होगा कि वंस द पर्सन इज डेड तो मर जाने के बाद भी फॉर सम टाइम हम अब ये कहा जाता है आई डोंट नो यू बिलीव इट और नॉट दैट दे आर स्टिल देयर समथिंग इज स्टिल देयर तो परहैप्स शी इज इन दैट स्टेट जिसमें ना तो वो जिंदा है now वो completely जा चुकी है and she can see what's happening around her. So that is the representation of half drawn that could be indicating this kind of reference over here. So you see, apparently the poem is too simple, but it has too many things to offer as well. Acha, yet the adjective half suggests an undead state that the narrator may be occupying, one which could not be purgatory, neither life nor death. Where the narrator states that the floor was swept, this again reinstates the theme of domesticity. अब देखिए फ्लोर्स जो है वो यूजुअली हाउस होल्ड में जो लोग रहते हैं खवातीन रहती हैं मेड्स रहती हैं वही सफाई करती हैं. मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि मॉडर्न इंसान मॉडर्न आदमी नहीं करता लेकिन उस दौर में इट वाज द ड्यूटी ऑफ अ वुमन. सो इट reinstates that and it also establishes the fact that Christina Rossetti was a homebody and she used to stay at home, but then she had to work as well. But she was still, by heart, truly a Victorian woman who wanted to protect herself at all costs over domesticity में believe करती थी, which distances the poem from religious connotations associated with death. अच्छा death के साथ जो connotations होती हैं connotations are the implied meanings, social meanings, thematic or associated meanings that we associate. For example, to me, death is the ultimate freedom. For you, death could mean something completely different. So, can you tell me what does death mean to you? How would you define or describe death?
The end of humanity.
End of humanity, ठीक है. End of life, or और डेथ के साथ क्या आप एसोसिएट करते हैं? देयर इज अ पोएट जो इसको डेथ को एज अ फ्रेंड लेता है. आई थिंक हिज नेम इज, आई फॉरगॉट हिज नेम. ही इज अ मेटाफिजिकल पोएट. आई कांट रिकॉल हिज नेम राइट नाउ. और किसी के पास कोई पर्सपेक्टिव नहीं है डेथ के लिए? somebody, some of you
I'm
might.
mysterious.
Mysterious, okay. Nightmare, मिश्का कह रही है कि it's a nightmare, okay. यानी it's not.
Migration to
जी आयमा.
migration to another life which is permanent.
Migration to another life which is permanent. See, हम इस वक्त इस मीटिंग में एटलीस्ट 30+ लोग हैं, लेकिन हम लाइफ एंड डेथ दोनों को एक डिफरेंट परस्पेक्टिव से देखते हैं. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ अस आर फ्रॉम द सेम रिलीजन. Even then we associate different meanings to it. So what she associated with death is a little different, although we have talked about that how she was quite religious. But then when you are dying and you can't stop it, and it's inevitable, death is inevitable, you can't actually stop it. So आपके पास हर किस्म की questioning आ जाती है. पिछली पोएम में भी हमने देखा that she's questioning, she's not clear, she's not certain. She may forget, she may remember, और यहाँ पर भी आपको इसी तरह की vagueness नजर आएगी. And in these lines, the active verbs swept and strewn allude to active and busy continuation of everyday life. अगर आप पिछली पोएम को दोबारा थोड़ा सा माइंड में लाएं तो उसमें भी वो continuation की ही बात करती है. That you should be the grass above me and you may forget and you may remember. Similarly, life must go on, और यहाँ पर भी यही कहा जा रहा है कि even she is on her deathbed or she's dead already, people are coming and the floor is clean and curtains are drawn. सब कुछ चल रहा है. She is on the deathbed, बाकी बाकी सारा कुछ चल रहा है. So that is what she's trying to insinuate over here. The reference to rushes and rosemary and may, which are mentioned in the structure, represents traditious association with death. For example, rosemary is a herb that is associated with memory. अब rosemary हम तो इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, but गांव में मैंने देखा है कि हो रहा होता है कहीं ना कहीं. तो जो Christians हैं और these Catholics, they associate different herbs with different kinds of activities of their lives. So इसकी representation ऐसे है. Then we have line 3 to 4. Lay thick upon the lay thick upon the bed on which I lay, where through the lattice ivy shadows crept. So in this poem, Rossetti refers to a bed which could allude to a deathbed. This sets the scene of a Victorian deathbed, a scene prevalent in many pieces of literature from the Victorian era. अच्छा, बहुत सारा विक्टोरियन लिटरेचर आप कहीं ना कहीं मॉडर्न ड्रामा, मॉडर्न नॉवल भी पढ़ रहे होंगे या पढ़ेंगे. You will see that many characters, they are mostly on their, or they are on their deathbed in the middle or at the end of the book, or in the beginning as well, because they are being diseased. या आपको बता रहे थे contaminated water था, contaminated air थी, सब काफी बीमार थे, और जॉब्स फैक्ट्रीज में करनी पड़ रही
Ma'am,
थी.
the voice is again disruptive.
डिस्ट्रप्टेड. ओके, आई एम ट्राइंग टू रिकॉर्ड इट. कुछ जो बेटे मिस हो जाए तो फिर हम ये करेंगे ना कि आप उसको सुन सकते हैं. डेफिनेटली द इंटरनेट कैन बी sometimes a very problematic point. Yes, हो सकता है, कोई बात नहीं. आई एम रीडिंग फ्रॉम द सेम रीडिंग. कुछ उसमें मैं ऐड करती हूँ, वो वही बात है, आपको मुझसे ज्यादा ही आता होगा, उसमें कोई परेशानी वाली बात नहीं है. एनीवे, so she uses personification. अच्छा, I was telling you about that how Victorian literature में it was common for the depiction of deathbeds, क्योंकि people were going through a lot of diseases. John Keats को ले लें, he died of TB. क्रिस्टीना रोसेट्टी को ले लें, she dies of cancer. और क्रिस्टीना रोसेट्टी के जो कंटेम्पररीज हैं उसमें भी बहुत सारे आपको मिलेंगे जो कि डिफरेंट डिजीजेस की वजह से मर जाएंगे या तड़प तड़प के मरेंगे, टू बी ऑनेस्ट, बिकॉज इन्वेंशन होने के बाद भी बहुत सारी चीजें, ये भी एक ट्रीटमेंट के थ्रू गुजरती है जो कैंसर के लिए निकाली जाती है, लेकिन शी इवेंचुअली डाइज आफ्टर 2 years ऑफ दैट ट्रीटमेंट. तो ऐसा बहुत कुछ आपको डेथ बेड्स पे इस तरह से डिपिक्शन होगी. तो दैट इज योर रेफरेंस टू विक्टोरियन एज एज वेल. Other than this, she uses personification of nature to convey an ominous atmosphere. This is seen in the quote Ivy Shadows Crept, where the movement of the plant seems sinister and almost unsettling. आपने देखा है कि रोमांटिक पोइट्स तो डिस्क्रिप्शन देते ही है नेचर के, विक्टोरियन पोइट्स भी दे रहे हैं, स्पेशली क्रिस्टीना ने तो डेफिनेटली क्लियरली दी है. लेकिन द वे शी इज रिप्रेजेंटिंग नेचुरलिस्टिक डिस्क्रिप्शंस ओवर हियर आर नॉट दैट सिंपल, दे आर नॉट दैट personal. These are representations of different traditions and customs in the society and the community itself. ठीक है. as your as well as this ivy is commonly seen to cover abandoned buildings, so this reference to wild and unkept ivy growing over the narrator's house is extremely skillful in highlighting the abandonment she feels after death. Of course, I have had many people who are close to me who are dead right now, and I think about them all the time. That's true, but I don't indulge into conversations. I do not take advice from them. I don't give them advice. We don't have that daily basis conversations anymore. So those people, no matter how hard I try to tell you that I've not forgotten them, I have not. But on my daily basis, मेरी daily routine में उनका जो अमल दखल है वो एक thought रह गया है सिर्फ. It's not that indulgent anymore. So she's representing herself to be forgotten in this way, the way this ivy has spread all over. ये हर जगह चला गया है. It's there, it's everywhere. So it's just like that thought that she's saying. The active verb crept also symbolizes the rest of the world, or the ordinary cycle of love going on without the speaker now that she's dead. Okay? So she's no more there in the scene and she's forgotten, and ivy is spreading, so is life, so is people, everybody is moving forward, and she's there. Then we have line 5 to 6. He leaned above me, thinking that I slept and could not hear him, but I heard him say. So he leaned above me. Now we have an insertion of a beloved. मैं इसको beloved इसलिए कह रही हूँ, कुछ बच्चे इसको पढ़ते हुए father और brother भी ले रहे हैं. beloved आपने इसलिए लेना है क्योंकि ये पोएम्स जब उसने लिखी तो इसमें वो कहीं ना कहीं किसी ना किसी वर्ड के थ्रू हमें इंडिकेट करने की कोशिश करती है कि इट्स अबाउट द बिलवेड. अभी जब हम इससे अगली लाइंस पढ़ेंगे तो भी आपके माइंड में क्लियर हो जाएगी कि इट्स नॉट अबाउट द ब्रदर एंड द फादर, इट्स एक्चुअली अबाउट द beloved. Above me, thinking that I slept and could not hear him, but I heard him say. So, at this point of time of the poem, we are introduced with a new character, which is unnamed, vague, and ambiguous figure, a male figure, because pronoun जो है वो he use हुआ है. एंड ऑफ कोर्स यहाँ पर जो हम बेसिकली इसको इसकी इंटेंशन क्लियर कर सकते हैं कि इट्स दिस पर्सन, दिस ही इज हर beloved. This figure leaned above her, a scene that suggests intimacy. ठीक है. Leaning on somebody definitely suggests intimacy, and it also suggests that the female character which is lying on her deathbed or who's dead already is in the passive figure, and he's on the authority because he's on the upper side. He's leaning over her. This skillfully reinforces the idea of patriarchal system that women are always submissive and under the thumb rule of men and the husbands or male counterparts of the society. This could be used by Rossetti to allude the fallen women trope. जो मैंने आपको शुरू में भी बताया, fallen women पे बहुत फोकस था. ये fallen women वो हैं जो कि out of wedlock जिनके बच्चे हो रहे थे या जो prostitutes थे और जिनको लेबल कर दिया जाता था कि ये इस तरह से तो उस तरह से. Perhaps this woman who's diseased is a fallen woman herself, right? Now, the fallen woman trope at that time, in which a woman who had sexual relationships outside of marriage was deemed fallen and outcast in the eyes of the society. Perhaps this offers readers some background insight into the fate of the speaker who is likely to be fallen woman, as it is not uncommon within Rossetti's work. हमारे पास जो तीनों poems हैं इसमें इतना clearly इसकी indication नहीं है, but the rest of the works that she has written, clearly she focuses on these fallen women, and she used to actually help these fallen women get back to life, और उनकी help किया करती थी, उनके बच्चों को पढ़ा दिया करती थी, तो ये सारा कुछ वो करती होती थी. Also, the fact that the narrator could not hear him but heard him say is an example of contradiction. कि could not hear him say but heard him say. तो ये बहुत एक contradictory statement है जो कि ये unusual communication hindrance showcase करती है between the male or a husband or a beloved and the woman who's deceased. And usually Victorian marriages were like those only. जहाँ पर शादी तो थी, but the male and the female in the marriage, they were not having communication, a successful communication between the two. The theme of this boundary is definitely there, and this boundary is more intensified because death is there between the two. पहले तो सिर्फ ये था ना कि दोनों के जेंडर रोल्स थे कि मेल ऐसा हो सकता है तो फीमेल ऐसी हो सकती है, लेकिन अब डेथ भी इन मिक्स में आ गई है, therefore there is a communication barrier between the two. Then we have lines 7 to 8. Poor child, and as he turned away came a deep silence, and I knew he wept. Now, this deep silence is important to remember and pinpoint that this person, this male figure in the poem, said, Poor child and poor child. अच्छा, पुअर चाइल्ड हम अपने बिलविड को क्यों कहेंगे, अपने वाइफ को क्यों कहेंगे, इससे इससे क्या मीनिंग समझ आता है आपको?
यस मैम, एग्जैक्टली माय क्वेश्चन। अगर वो उसका बिलवड है तो चाइल्ड क्यों कह रहा है, मतलब?
मैं yes, anybody else जो इसमें who could read into it, there is a reading into it by the way. वो आजकल होता है ना, बाबू सोना मेरा बेटा मेरा बच्चा, वो उस तरह से एक बात है, वो तो आप पॉजिटिव लोगे, यहाँ पर क्या मतलब है? जी आयमा, आप कुछ
Then
कह रहे थे?
maybe she is somehow saying that she is leaving him, so she is poor in his situation, that he is left behind after her beloved's death.
Okay, anybody else?
मैम मे बी चाइल्ड इसलिए कि शी इज वेरी यंग टू डाई, और मे बी इनोसेंस की बात हो रही है क्योंकि चिल्ड्रन यूजुअली इंडिकेट दैट।
ठीक है, ये भी ठीक है। और कोई पॉइंट? अच्छा देखिए, पुअर चाइल्ड को उर्दू में अगर आप ट्रांसलेट करें तो इसका मतलब बेचारी बच्ची। अब देखिए, इसको देखने के दो तरीके हैं, एक तो पॉजिटिव है, ठीक है, और अपने बिलविड को मैं क्यों बोलूंगी कि पुअर चाइल्ड, पुअर चाइल्ड? That shows that men were having an upper hand in the society, and they treated their women, their loved ones, their wives, their beloveds in such a manner as if they were dolls, they were possessions, they were children. आपको पता है ना कि विक्टोरियन एज में मैंने आपको बताया, women were not heard, their decisions were not taken seriously, they were treated as a decoration piece in the houses. अ डॉल हाउस एक ड्रामा है जो मैं अक्सर रेफर करती हूँ, वो पढ़ा हो तो आपको ये पुअर चाइल्ड का डेफिनेटली नेम समझ आएगा. It simply insinuates that the male figure in the poem thinks of this woman as in a derogatory remark कि बेचारी, my poor child, my poor child. अब उसको चाइल्ड वो जो कह रहा है तो वो पॉजिटिव मैनर में नहीं कह रहा है, इट्स नेगेटिव. ठीक है, जैसे हम उर्दू में नहीं कहते children नजर आ रही है, वरना अपने बिलविड को पुअर चाइल्ड कोई क्यों कहेगा? ठीक है, वन ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स इन प्रीवियस क्लासेस उसने ये इसको इस तरह से भी रीड किया, मे बी जो मेल फिगर आता है वो एक्चुअली फादर है. नो, इट्स नॉट द फादर, इट्स द लवर, बिकॉज लास्ट लाइन हमें क्लियरली बताती है, जहां पर वो कहेगी, जब मैं आपको लाइन पढ़कर भी बताऊंगी, जहां वो कहती है दैट यू आर स्टिल वार्म फॉर मी एंड आई एम कोल्ड. सो फादर के लिए इस तरह के वर्ड्स यूज नहीं हो सकते, तो ये बिलविड ही है. तो यहाँ पर इसके नेगेटिव मीनिंग आता है. और डीप साइलेंस, केम अ डीप साइलेंस. साइलेंस यूजुअली तब आता है जब देयर इज मोर टू इंटरप्रेट बट द पर्सन कैन नॉट express or explain. So this male character is not able to actually express more. वो पूरे चाइल्ड के बाद और क्या कहना चाह रहा है वो नहीं कह रहा है, बिकॉज वो एक विक्टोरियन मैन है. Now the dialogue is used. This is a technique that has been used in the poem. The dialogue is spoken by the male figure in the poem, right? And he says, poor child, which is a reference that the narrator who is dead, ठीक है, उस औरत के लिए जो deceased woman है उसके लिए reference है. Due to the use of the noun child, this could be considered patronizing according to the modern audience. ठीक है, तो आप मॉडर्न ऑडियंस हैं तो ये पैट्रोनाइजिंग है. द enjambment used as he turned away came a deep silence is effective as if echoes the continuity of mourning deep silence could refer to the male figure crying, yet keeping it quietened and hidden. Like I told you, a Victorian man could not express himself completely and bluntly, therefore the silence could have been there. So silence की study एक separate study इस तरह से हो सकती है. This successfully demonstrates how the time how at that time men only openly expressing emotions was a taboo and marginalized topic. The fact that the narrator knew he wept suggests that she's just attempting to reassure herself of his love for her. So ये एक plea हो सकती है जहाँ पे वो reassurance के reassure करने की कोशिश कर रही है. Then we have line 9 to 10. He did not touch the shroud or raise the fold that hid my face or take my hand in his. Again, this is a reference to the same male figure. He did not touch the shroud or raise the fold that hid my face or take my hands in his. So, this is almost as if it's a complaint that even if I'm dead, he did not touch me, he did not look at my face, he did not try to uncover my face and look at me, or he did not take my hands in his. Uh, when I okay, that's a little personal. I can share something else. Okay, when you look at the movies, आप देखते होंगे कि people who are genuinely in a relationship with the person who has died, वो उनकी डेड बॉडी को भी जाके उसका हाथ देखेंगे, हाथ को टच करेंगे. मैं क्रिश्चियनिटी की बात कर रही हूँ, ठीक है. तो वो टच करेंगे या उसको एक किस कर देंगे फोरहेड पे, या किसी किस्म की इंटीमेशन शो करने के लिए कुछ ना कुछ आपको नजर आएगा. लेकिन ये जो male figure hai, when he leaned above her, he came there, he said, poor child, but he did not touch her, he did not take her hand in his, he did not show any signs of intimacy that could have been there when she was alive. ठीक है, तो वो जो एक बाउंड्री है उन दोनों में, वो इन वर्ड्स से क्लियर होती है कि उनकी जो शादी थी, उनका जो कंपेनियनशिप था, इट वाज शैलो. The fact that the man did not touch the shroud is effective, as it suggests that he finds death to be disturbing and unsettling and wishes to keep it hidden. Then there is a list used here where the narrator states the things that man does not do, including to raise the fold that hid her face. The This reinstates the lack of love between the two, as well as the boundary that has been placed between them by death. एक तो जो उनके पास बाउंड्री थी जब वो जिंदा थे, वो तो हो ही रही है. दूसरा, डेथ ने भी शेक कर दिया है इस मेल फिगर को. दैट्स व्हाई ही इज नॉट टचिंग द बॉडी एट ऑल. दिस बाउंड्री टेक्स मेटाफोरिकल or a spiritual form. Metaphorical in the sense that it describes the person's relationship um, with the other one, or spiritual इस तरह से कि death is a spiritual concept for them, yet also physical form in relationship to the shroud and fold which hid her face. The man also did not take her hand in his, which again links to the deteriorating sense of love. Then we have line 11 to 12. Or ruffle the smooth pillows for my head. He did not love me living but once dead. Again, or ruffle the smooth pillows of my head. He did not love me living but once dead. Again, a complaining tone is there that he did not love me when I was alive, and he did not smooth the pillows under my head which are ruffled, but once dead. आगे जो लाइन है उससे हम इसे जोड़ने की कोशिश करेंगे. लेट्स रीड कि इसकी और पॉसिबल इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या है. Hence, the narrator still expresses discontent with the male figure's lack of care, his reluctance to offer her physical support or ruffle the smooth pillows. This emphasizes the distance between which was there when she was alive, and which is there more prominently because of death. और दूसरा इवेंट भी हो सकता है. अच्छा, विक्टोरियन मैरिजेस जो थी वो बहुत शैलो थी, वो बहुत सुपरफिशियल इस तरह से थी कि men used to get married to women just to have children. So जो intimacy actually होनी चाहिए वो intimacy नहीं थी. It was just a ritual to be performed. So maybe that is what the poetess is trying to highlight, that the marriages that she sees around her, they are so shallow, they do not have intimacy, they do not have connection and companionship and care and affection. They just have a bond, they just have a an agreement between the two. तो ये उस पॉइंट को भी हाईलाइट करता है विक्टोरियन एज से. As readers, we are not sure what event it was. Of course, like I told you, एक event ये भी हो सकता है, yet it is open to interpretation. She states that he did not love her when she was alive, which is unusual as they were likely to be married, and thus it is strange that their relationship lacked love. It is strange because it's in the poem, but this illustrates marriage conventions at that time, which were full of loyalty, and traditional roles were almost assigned to people, and the patriarchy disturbed and destroyed romance. Logic reason तो आ गया, लेकिन patriarchal system ने love, romance, companionship, true essence of affection को बहुत बुरी तरह से disrupt कर दिया था. Then we have लास्ट टू लाइंस. अच्छा, पिछली दो लाइंस इससे कनेक्टेड हैं तो मैं उन्हें दोबारा पढ़ूंगी. और ruffle the smooth pillows for my head, he did not love me living but once dead. He pitied me, and very sweet it is to know he still is warm though I am cold. So जो loved one होता है वो आप पे पिटी नहीं खाता, वो आप पे तरस थोड़ी खाएगा. So poor child definitely is associated with this pittiness, this complaint that we have been seeing in the last few lines. The fact that he did not touch her, the fact that he did not take take her hand in his, the fact that he did not look at her face. वो सारी जो complaints हैं, maybe when she was alive she wanted that but she never had it. And the deep silence this male figure showcases that he was in fact a product of society. That's why he did not express what he felt. So he pitied me, and very sweet it is to know that he still is warm though I am cold. Now it is revealed in the last lines that the man pitied the narrator, which further highlights the lack of love and disturbances of their relationship due to death and any other event that is not clear. The use of thesaurus, which is a break or pause in the middle of a line or verse. These breaks could be in the beginning. यहाँ पर हमारे पास ending में है. This line, as it stops the sorrowful tone and acts as a volta in the poem. Volta क्या है? Volta is a turn or transition in a sonnet's main argument, theme or tone. देखिए पहले हम जो एक टेंशन पे चल रहे थे, एक पॉइंट पे चल रहे थे, अब यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा चेंज हो जाते हैं. Now she says that it's very sweet to know that he is still warm for me, but I am cold. Once dead and I am cold, दोनों एक दूसरे से correspond करते हैं. This reveals how, despite him not loving her, she is still content that he lived and she did not. So she being a true representation of Victorian woman, a selfless woman. यहाँ पर आपको love तो दिख रहा है, लेकिन एक selflessness भी दिख रही है. And that is what she is saying. So एक contrasting image है he और she के बीच में, deceased woman and that image में उस आदमी में जो इस poem में आता है. Thus to some this line may appear sensitive and selfless at the same time. However, it could also be seen to have a bitter tone, or as perhaps narrator is glad because now her lover is trapped with the monotonous domestic cycle of life that she is happy to escape from. The ending of the poem comes with a range of emotions and the tones are differentiated. The dono perspectives, maybe it is from the perspective of the deceased woman, or maybe it is just a complaint and a selfless plea for the man. I hope the poem is clear. If we talk about the themes of the poem, themes कौन से हैं वो हमने शुरू में भी बात की थी. That is love, death, ठीक है, life after death, and the connection, the companionship, and everything, and spirituality, of course. Is the poem clear, bete?
Yes, ma'am.